Hi Aries, welcome and welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. We are talking about April already. What? I told you. I'm probably just gonna say that every month. I'm always so surprised. But I hope that March went well for you. And happy birthday to you, April. Aries out there. Every Aries that I know is an April Aries. So shout out to you guys. We're using the Black Tarot this month. It's interesting because I was actually going to use a different deck. Like I had a different deck in mind for this month. And I had to move this one kind of out of the way to get to it. And when I picked it up, it was just like, I mean, it was just like my heart almost opened. Like that's how it felt. It was just almost like immediately connected to my heart space. And that's what I think is so cool about this deck in particular. But that was just my clear sentience action going off there. So I went with it. I'm like, okay, looks like we're using the Black Tarot this month, which I'm totally fine with. I love this deck. So, like I said, we're talking about April. And as always, we do a 4-card spread. The center card is the current energy. To the left of that is any potential blocks. Underneath is advice for clearing the block. And then the last position is kind of the energy that you're heading into. I don't shuffle reversals into the deck, but if the card falls out in the reverse, we'll keep it that way. The cards actually do need to fall out of the deck. If they flip in the deck, we'll just flip them over and keep it moving. My intention is for 1 card to come out at a time, but if 2 come out together, we'll take 2, but any more than 2, and we'll put it back in the deck because we just want the message to be super clear. So I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I always feel like I am. I don't know. We have the 8 of Pentacles and the 8 of Swords. Okay. I feel like you guys have been just really focused on work and job and money and, you know, almost kind of like getting a system going. So the 8 of, the 8 of Pentacles or the 8 of Spears here, I mean, it talks about putting in work. It's discipline. And also, you know, it talks about, you know, kind of the focus that it takes in order to almost kind of become an expert in something. There goes my dog. He'll probably come running by in a second. There he goes. It's neighborhood watch. But, you know, I mean, you can see this character has, you know, kind of things up in the air, juggling a bit. I mean, you could have more than one thing going on. And these are all kind of things that would, like streams of income almost. You could maybe be kind of considering adding a form of income to what you already do. But again, you know, I mean, it talks about discipline and just, you know, like kind of having that focus necessary to kind of perfect your craft, right? It's like the practice that you put into it. And then we have the 8 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And the 8 of Swords talks about that mind space that we sometimes get stuck in, that's, you know, like full of the what ifs and you know, just the mental gymnastics, hamster on a wheel, right? Like kind of that cyclical or cyclical way of thinking that just, you know, kind of keeps us stagnant. You know, like it's that whole like by not making a decision, you make a decision thing. So this is also, you know, the Eight of Swords also talks about it kind of being self-inflicted. We might feel like when we are in the Eight of Swords energy, we might feel like we don't have a choice or that there's too many things going on and so that we can't add anything else to our plate or whatever we're juggling, right? But the fact of the matter is, that's the story that you tell yourself. That may not necessarily be true. I'm not saying that it's not. Obviously, you know, it's your situation. However, if it is a matter of it taking somebody to tell you that you're lying to yourself, then there you go. You're lying to yourself. In the most loving way possible, coming from a friend, right? Because in the Eight of Swords, traditionally, the figure looks like they are tied up. They're usually blindfolded. These figures don't really have any heads. And even in here, right? I mean, it looks like they are kind of a little bit tied up, but not to the point where they couldn't get themselves out if they wanted to. Like they're free to move around and free themselves. But this is kind of like, you have to do it. Somebody else isn't going to come in and do it for you. And quite frankly, if you're in this energy, you wouldn't even allow somebody else to come do that for you. So you have to, you know, kind of change that perspective for yourself. Regardless, either, you know, make a decision not to or make a decision to do whatever it is. You know, like if it's something that you have been perfecting or if it is something else that you want to bring in, right? And then we have the Five of Wands underneath there and then the Star. And, you know, the Five of Wands talks a bit about, you know, competition, a bit of conflict. The fives are kind of the conflict card, but it's a transitionary conflict. So it's getting from point A to point B, and it's that space in between. So, you know, the wands talk about communication and action. So this is, you know, really kind of having to put in some elbow grease. You know, like, I mean, this could be, you know, just kind of really, like almost literally having to go for it, like having to move your body forward, however that looks to you, right? I mean, just moving towards something, but it's a physical action of actually doing that. And then we have the Star card underneath that, and the Star card talks about, you know, kind of like faith and, you know, wishing upon a star, really. It's that place where our prayers go or our manifestations, right? Like it's the space between the physical 3D world and the cosmic 5D world. So, you know, like you need both. You need, you know, kind of a culmination of both to kind of come together to kind of help you manifest. So again, like I said, like I just feel like Aries in general has just really been focusing on the bag. I'm not mad at you. Good for you. What is a block for Aries? What is blocking Aries? What is a block? We have the High Priestess. And the Three of Wands. I just wanted to make sure that was straight. So with the High Priestess being in the blocked position, this to me feels like you either don't trust yourself or you don't trust, like there's some disconnect between you and your intuition or what you know to be true, like your own inner truth. The High Priestess talks about, you know, intuition. I always see the High Priestess as our higher self. Like, you know, the answers really are within you. The hard part is hearing them, but also listening to them. And again, you know, with this kind of being about work or just, you know, I mean, something that you are kind of focusing your energy on. I mean, you know, the Pentacles can talk about, you know, money, of course, because I think that's just the easiest, simplest way of representing abundance in the 3D form is by coin or, you know, money. But it's the energy of, you know, just kind of feeling like your needs are met. That doesn't necessarily have to be because of money. That could be because, you know, the community around you makes you feel fulfilled, or actually the work that you do makes you feel fulfilled. You know, the Pentacles talk about our physical 3D body. It's literally the 3D. It's the things that we can see and we can touch. So, you know, again, with the High Priestess being in the blocked position, there's some sort of disconnect between, like I said, just either what you're doing as far as the Eight of Pentacles or how you're doing it. And maybe you already recognize that to a certain extent. Like, I mean, you could be trying to get something off the ground or do your work or, you know, kind of show up in the world, or even when it comes to diet and exercise. And by diet, I just mean, you know, kind of what you're putting in your body, not specifically an actual diet, because we are very anti-diet on this channel. Anti-fad diet. But of course, we are very pro your health and your body. So again, you know, I mean, you could be trying to, you know, kind of do this in a way that other people have done it, because maybe you've seen their success with it, but more than likely they've been successful because they have done it in a way that is authentic to them. So, you know, this disconnect, like if you maybe kind of find yourself struggling a little bit, you know, like maybe try throwing a dose of your own authenticity in there and seeing how it goes. Because really, right, like nobody else can do it like you, and you can't do it like anybody else because you are you, right? So, and then we have the Three of Wands at the bottom of the deck. And the Three of Wands talks about direction. and, you know, kind of focused action. Like I said, the wands have to do with action and communication. So it's deciding to go in a certain direction. Like it's deciding to actually get on a path. You could even be kind of communicating changes to your business, or changing, you know, how you're going to do work, or the type of work that you are going to do. This doesn't even necessarily have to be like a change, but it is just, like I said, it's kind of focusing on heading in a specific direction. We have the 7 of Spheres underneath that, which is interesting because we have the 8 of Spheres. So this is the 7 of Pentacles. And this is, you know, we have this kind of little figure right here, and this tree is kind of, you know, like bursting through the ground. So it's, you know, like the fruits of your labor literally paying off, right? Like I always kind of, with the 7 of Pentacles, you know, again, the traditional depiction is this figure that's just kind of standing in their garden, admiring the work that they've done. It's also even just, you know, kind of understanding that you do have to continue to put energy into a thing in order for it to grow and blossom and bear fruit. So you can't just plant a seed in the ground and just be like, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm sure that'll grow into a full-blown apple tree and I'll have apples in a few months. You know, like, no, you need to water it. You maybe need to fertilize it. I don't know, you know, whatever it takes for growing plants, right? But again, you know, it's the dedication to the thing. So, you know, there's this dedicated feeling of whatever, you know, kind of path. And I just was reminded that we're talking about the blocked position. So again, like, thank you for the reminder, getting ahead of myself. So with this all being in the blocked position, you know, again, like blocking some sort of, like, maybe there is a path that's kind of opened up to a certain extent. Maybe you're not a fan of whatever it is. Maybe it's going to take a bit more effort, a bit more work to get there. And we have the Ace of Wands behind there. Like, you know, I mean, the Ace of Wands talks about passion. You know, I mean, it's a spark, right? Focused energy. So, I mean, you may just kind of be out of juice. Like you just may not feel like you have it in you. That could be burnout, really. Okay. Let's see what the advice is. She came flying out. Queen of Cups. And we have the Empress at the bottom of the deck. Justice. Oh my gosh, Wheel of Fortune. Are you effing getting me? Wow. So the Queen of Cups. This is getting into your body. Cups talk about our emotions. This would be the minor arcana card to the High Priestess. And you can even just kind of see the similarities between the two. And also just, you know, kind of the juxtaposition between the colors here. Like, you know, we have this figure that kind of has this cloak on. It's a little bit dark. And then, you know, the Queen of Cups is, I mean, the cloak is off, right? She's bearing herself in, you know, like even just the color is lighter. So in most other positions, other than the blocked position, the high priestess is very much this, as far as like artistry goes, very connected to herself. Like I said, with the cups, it talks about our emotions and being, kind of in the flow. It's also very intuitive because, our intuition comes from our body. That's why they say I have a gut feeling. You don't ever hear somebody like talk about their head. Like, of course, like your head is kind of where you it's the process center, right? But if we are too much in our heads, that's where, it kind of creates this block between, our head up here and our bodies down here, right? So the advice would be to get out of your head and get into your body and really trust yourself. And even if that is just, again, like taking small steps, like, nobody's saying be dramatic. I don't know how hard or easy that is for a fire sign. I'm an earth sign, so it's easy for me to take small steps. I am slow moving. But it's kind of like, once you get clear on how you feel and how you want to feel about your business, your body, your kind of how you show up in the world, then it's like, the Empress talks about, this could be, you could be dealing with a Taurus in your life, doesn't have to be. We have Justice, who's Libra. So the Empress talks about, it's the divine feminine energy. So she's generally depicted as being pregnant. But that's, like in the sense of like birthing opportunity and life and love into your world, the world around you, the world in general. All the things kind of feminine in energy. Again, it's not gender, but it's just the energy of that thing. So being in the flow, intuition, your body, right? Again, like I said, like getting out of your head. And like I said, most of these figures don't necessarily have heads, but it's kind of like, the static business going on up here. All of this life and beauty is happening in the body. And just to have that reinforced by the Queen of Cups is beautiful. And then we have Justice behind that, like I said. So, Justice talks about kind of things balancing out. It's the scales balancing. There could be some tears through this whole thing. The situation, could be causing you a lot of stress, which is kind of where these tears come from. But it's almost kind of like, it's not for nothing. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune behind that, which is Jupiter, I believe, which is fire. Is that Jupiter right there? I don't even know. Or is that Saturn? I don't know. The Wheel of Fortune talks about, kind of the things changing for the better. I don't care where the Wheel of Fortune shows up. I always see it as a good thing. But I mean, specifically here. So, you know, I mean, we have this, and then the Two of Cups behind there, which, you know, I mean, just talks about, I'm trying to get these all to be able to, ugh. The Two of Cups talks about union and harmony and, you know, kind of yin and yang. Again, even just, you know, kind of justice. But like with this being in the advice position of, you know, almost just even reconnecting with yourself, like meditating, spending some time with, like, take yourself out on a date, or, you know, like kind of look for validation from within yourself instead of maybe looking for it externally. But, you know, behind this Queen of Cups is all of this like beautiful opportunity with the Empress, and then justice and the Wheel of Fortune. Like, you know, things really take a major turn and for the better. I mean, you know, like it could bring you to like a community. I mean, you could meet somebody that would, you know, kind of impact what you're doing, or just kind of be on the same page with you. I mean, the Two of Cups, like a lot of people see that as being like a soulmate card, which, you know, of course, if you're looking for that, that very well could be, you know, like this could kind of bring you, you know, that path could just cross with somebody who is a soulmate to you. I mean, soulmates can be anything to, you know, romantic or platonic. Again, it could be a community, but I see the Two of Cups as, you know, we start with the Ace of Cups, where, you know, your cup is filling over. You have more that, like, you feel like your cup is full, right? Like you feel like you have enough to give. And so, so you do, you know, like, you do share your cup with somebody else, but the beauty of it is that that person or that group or that community has enough to give you back. So, you know, like both of your cups are full, and there's, you know, an equal exchange of energy or emotion, or, you know, like resources, whatever it is, right? So you don't feel depleted. You don't feel, it's not 90-10, it's 50-50. Beautiful. What is the outcome for Aries, or what's next for Aries? What's coming up next? What is coming up next for Aries? The Seven of Wands. And the Four of Swords, yeah. The Hierophant, Judgment, hell yeah. Okay. Is that, can you see that okay? Okay. I just wasn't sure if there was like a glare. So, the Seven of Wands. This is that action, right? This is you in action. The Seven of Wands talks about being a bit defensive, kind of having to, kind of like protect what's yours, the phrase that's coming to mind. Traditionally, is that annoying? I don't know. But traditionally, there's a figure standing on, kind of like an elevated platform type of looking thing. And there's 6 swords coming towards them. And they have one sword that wands that are coming towards them. And then they have one wand that they're kind of defending themselves with. So it's a little bit about, again, like just kind of having to defend your actions or but I mean, that is very much the energy of the card, right? So that's why I wanted to mention it. But that's not the feeling that, excuse me, sorry. That's not the feeling that I'm getting from this. And I keep going back and I'm like 7 of Wands. Okay, because I just want to make sure for some reason I feel like I'm reading it wrong. Is that what that says? 7 of Wands? Okay. This has like this feeling of empowerment. Like, the actions that you're taking, we have this figure that's kind of in this, that just, it looks like static or like energy, right? And just even their body language to me, has this empowerment kind of feeling to it. It has this feeling of like creation, really. And maybe that's what you kind of have to maybe fight a little bit for is, kind of fighting to like get your vision out there, or even to focus what your vision is and how you want to communicate that and how you want to present it to, like your audience, whoever that is. Because then we have the 4 of Swords underneath there. And the 4 of Swords, you can kind of see this figure is meditating. And I was talking about meditation here. But this is, with the swords being about our minds and our intellect and our ego, right? Because that's where our ego lives, is in our heads, which is all the more reason to get out of our heads and into our body. But the 4 of Swords talks about kind of taking a mental break. It is about meditation. It's about like, kind of giving yourself time to heal. It's rest and rejuvenation. And again, that very well could be what you need, because I mentioned burnout over here. So this could be an invitation to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. Like maybe even recognize that the work that, like, put in as much work as possible. I don't want to say, of course, like, because I get it, we have to make money, right? Like, but wherever you can, like kind of try to find space to give yourself a break. Like get a massage if you can afford it. Get some Reiki. Again, like kind of go on a nice drive, take yourself on a hike, those type of things. But try to find space if you can, even to meditate, right? Like find some guided meditations that you might enjoy. This could also be, because we were talking about the Queen of Cups being the advice and everybody that followed her and how great that was, right? Like it could be that if you take the advice and those things, you start kind of seeing the Empress and Justice and the Wheel of Fortune kind of starting to affect things, this could be, you know, it gives you space and room to take this break and kind of take a big, deep breath. We have the Hierophant underneath there. Again, this could be a Taurus you're working with. Doesn't have to be. The Hierophant talks about institutions and kind of more traditional ways of being. Again, this can even talk about community. This could talk about learning something new, like they're either you decide to try a different tactic, a different way of working, or a different way of whatever, you know, this Eight of Pentacles is. It could just be that you have to maybe learn something about that, because really where this figure's head should be is, that looks like a globe to me. I'm not sure if that is what it is, or if it's just kind of like the image of that. That almost kind of looks like clouds the longer that I look at it. But it is headspacey, right? So, I mean, like, it could just be something that you need to learn or research. We have Judgment behind that, which talks about this transformation. And that could be because of whatever it is that you learned or researched. But, you know, Judgment, again, like I said, it is this transformative energy. And we have the Ten of Cups behind that, which is the minor arcana card to the Sun card. This is, again, you know, having all of your cups filled, and then being able to, you have enough to where you can share with your community or share with your family or friends, or but, you know, again, cups have to do with our emotions, right? So it's just feeling good about what you're doing. Beautiful. And, you know, I mean, you might have to just kind of, this almost, to me, like, it kind of has this feeling of like finding yourself, like really kind of digging into yourself to discover something new, to kind of reconnect with your higher self, like really get back into connection with yourself. And I keep, just to kind of, this last thing, I just kind of keep hearing this thing in my head that's saying, remind people that being defensive or having to defend yourself is not always a bad thing. Like, it's not really your responsibility to make people understand you, right? But it's one thing to be like, hey, you know, like, these are, I don't know, like, this feels more in alignment with me, so this is what I'm going to do. That's like kind of where it starts and stops, right? You know, like, people can have their opinions, and that's how I see the Seven of Wands, is like, you know, those six wands are kind of other people's opinions or fears or doubts, or it's other people's shit, right? And that's not for you to take on, right? Like, that's, unfortunately, you know, like, people are going to have their opinions and they're going to voice them, unwanted or otherwise. And that doesn't mean that you have to change what you're doing. It's kind of like this energy of like, you know, if people do start kind of, again, kind of forcing their opinions or giving unsolicited advice, even like, you're like, I didn't even ask for advice, like, right? So it's almost kind of like just kind of resting in this space of like knowing that, again, like this is more in alignment with you. And that's what matters, not how other people feel about it. And really just kind of like sit down and really get comfortable with that. And I think that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. And I'm glad that you're on the journey with me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, Aries.